Hello and welcome to Ask M&R Productions episode 151. If you guys are new to the series, this is a series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question that you want answered on next week's episode, leave it down in the comment section below and I may pick it to answer on the next episode. Anyway, our first question is actually a pretty good one from Just Too Great with a pretty fitting picture there of what looks like a caterpillar mantis thing. He says, I'm 16. Should I get myself a used car or the UCS Star Destroyer? I know they aren't the same sort of price, but I don't want to get both because that's a lot of money. And I certainly agree with you. You're 16. You're probably still in high school. I would assume you don't have a job, but here's my advice. You're 16. You can get a job, right? You've reached that age where you can go out and get a job somewhere, probably not making a ton of money, but making some money, assuming you live in the US, I guess, in my case. So I would say you should absolutely buy the used car. You have the freedom and transportation now to get yourself a job and go when you need to go after school hours or whatever that's going to be. And then you can earn money to both pay for your car and then buy a UCS Star Destroyer. I think that is like a win-win where you can end up having both things. Obviously, you have to put in some of your time to get some money, but I think that's totally worth it. And that's the way that I would do it if I were in your shoes, deciding between those two things and potentially being able to have them both if it works out in your favor. So that's my advice to you. Hopefully it works out for you. Stanley Goodwin says, I am thinking of buying a set from Republic Bricks, aka Timmy. Which one or ones do you recommend? So Timmy has sent me quite a few sets at this point. Most recently, I built the Clone Wars Y-Wing, and that's a nice set, but it's not one that I would necessarily recommend over some of the others that you can get for a very similar price. And in that realm, I would totally go for something like the Munilist 10 ARC 170 or one of the Munilist 10 Republic gunships. I think those models are really, really excellent, and they're some of my favorites that he has sent me. Now, I haven't built his Republic dropship yet, but he speaks very highly of it and tells me that he thinks it's going to be my favorite, so maybe that one's worth looking into for yourself, or once I get around to building it and doing a review of it, maybe watching that and deciding off of that. But, I mean, yeah, I think those are both a couple of good models in the Munilist ARC 170 and Munilist Republic gunships that are competitively priced for what you would pay for a new Lego set on eBay if you're buying like a new and sealed box version of one of the old ones of those vehicles. Plus, it's in a style that you can't get from Lego, and I think that's special in and of itself. So those are what I would totally recommend. Now, he does obviously have a lot of other options on the site, but I don't always love what I see with some of those. Like, some of the color schemes just aren't for me, but those Munilist 10 vehicles are off the chain, and I would totally recommend, especially the ARC 170 and gunship. Matthew says, I have a dilemma I think you should address. My brother is a Star Wars fan, but somehow hates Baby Yoda. I try to convince him that Baby Yoda is awesome and the cutest thing ever, but he wants to see him die every episode. Do you think he is too far gone? What should I do? Well, Matthew, it turns out your brother is actually a sociopath, and you should probably report him to your local authorities. Best of luck. Doom says, will you ever build a Windows computer, or are you happy with Apple? I'm very content with what I have with my Apple ecosystem. Everything works together. I can send photos and videos to my computer without having to hook things up. Like, everything works well together. If you know about ecosystems, Apple does one really well, and I'm very happy with what I have. And if you're happy with what you have, and maybe you have a Windows, then that's great too. But I do want a Windows computer for a couple of things. One is gaming, not necessarily like playing COD or anything, but for Minecraft. I want to be able to play Minecraft and record it properly and do all that stuff. I need basically a streaming PC is kind of what I want out of a Windows computer. So that I might do in the future, actually. That's not something I would be surprised if I do within the next year or so, because I would like to kind of build a presence a little bit in the gaming space, because I like playing games, and making videos out of that stuff is just a little hard with how much time I spend on other stuff right now. But, you know, in the future, if I can figure it out, I would love to do stuff like that. So yeah, I could certainly see myself doing that. But as far as like my day-to-day use of a computer and whatnot, I don't really ever see myself switching out of the Apple ecosystem at this point. I think I'm in for life. Pikachu says, similarly to how LEGO made the Design Your Own City set 81007, do you think LEGO will make the future Star Wars battle packs in this type of design? What I mean by this is, do you think you could pick your own builds or minifigures in future Star Wars battle packs? And that is actually a really cool concept that I hadn't really considered for like LEGO to actually make. I know Republic Bricks does something like this, but it is a custom thing is expensive. I want to say it's like $90 to build your own battle pack. It's not really intended for army building at that point, but it's still a cool thing to get, I suppose. But as far as like LEGO actually doing it, I would be shocked. I will be honest with that. It would be so freaking cool though if they were to apply that concept to something like a Star Wars battle pack. And with no battle packs on the horizon for 2021 at all, I mean, anything is possible in the future, especially with a concept like this. I just fear that it would make them overly expensive at that point, to where, you know, you're paying like $10 per minifigure or worse. Like, it could be pretty rough at that point, and then what's the point, right? So, I mean, I really love the idea, and I would love to see something like that come to fruition, but who knows? Maybe. Roman says, what do you think makes the buildable Jyn Erso the best set that LEGO has released? I think it's pretty cut and dry. The sex appeal. Avery says, which famous Skyline do you think LEGO should turn into a set next? So, are you talking about the LEGO architecture line here? I think quite obviously we've had New York, Dubai, Tokyo. I think we had Paris recently, London, San Francisco, Chicago, of course. I mean, the big one left in America to me is Boston. I mean, maybe a little biased there, but I think Boston would be the one that I absolutely want to see as a LEGO architecture Skyline, and I would kill for that. So maybe next summer, fingers crossed. I just need that in my life, I feel like. I'd love like a micro Fenway Park. You get maybe the Prudential building. I don't know what else they'd throw in there. Maybe part of the harbor. Who the hell knows? Carson with the Big Yoshi says, what do you think of the LEGO Star Wars Life Day special, or the LEGO Star Wars Holiday special for the uninitiated? It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised by how long it was. First off, it was like 47 minutes long, and I actually did record myself like live reacting to it as I watched it, and you know, maybe there's some interesting commentary there for some people, but ultimately I have yet to edit it, and I don't think it will be making its way onto the channel in any way, shape, or form. I just don't think it would make for a good video, to be quite honest. So I ended up kind of scrapping that whole concept, but I'll definitely talk about it here. I mean, I thought it was really fun. I thought there were a ton of really fun and cool like Star Wars movie callbacks, like really cool when Kylo Ren was like, there's no way anyone could ever come back from that, or something, like right in front of Palpatine, and then like looks right at the camera. Like, there's just a lot of fun, unique moments like that you don't get from like a canon Star Wars thing. It's basically a Star Wars parody film, but in LEGO, and it's not canon, but like it basically feels like it's real Star Wars, which is great. Like, I thought it was really fun. It was cute, you know, especially kids are gonna love it, like for just being a little fun, entertaining Star Wars animation. And I think people like you and I can enjoy it for the self-awareness that it certainly has. And I don't think it was anywhere close to as terrible as the original Star Wars Holiday Special thing, because I couldn't even watch like 10 minutes of that. So I got through this whole thing and enjoyed it, got some laughs, so not too bad. Oh, and someone totally pointed out to me in the YouTube comments that LEGO should have had a Life Day promo for LEGO Star Wars, and I was like, that's a good idea. And then I remembered why LEGO wouldn't do something like that, because it was a good idea. Captain Brick Kid says, when you were little and had no money, did you ever resort to shoplifting to get what you wanted, or were you too well-mannered for such shenanigans? I think it's a pretty low bar to not steal things. I'm gonna be honest, Captain Brick Kid. I feel like you're saying it's a bad thing if you were so well-mannered, like you're a goody two-shoes, that you didn't have to steal things. Like, I don't know, man. I just didn't steal things. Tamar Brown says, what are your thoughts on the new LEGO Mario sets? I know you don't really care for the Mario sets, but because you're a YouTuber, you feel like you need to buy it. I feel like you're putting words in my mouth there. I don't feel like I need to buy anything. I buy things when I think they make for good content and whatnot, or if I just genuinely want them. It's basically one or the other. I never feel forced to buy anything. I want to say that. But I'm going to be honest, I haven't even really looked at them. So we'll take a look at them in a second. But I just want to say, with like my Mario sets that I bought back in August, I haven't even touched them in months. Like, most of them have been sitting in here for like 3 months at this point, like getting dusty and whatnot. It's kind of sad. So my title for the video is going to be like, LEGO Mario was so bad I quit. But it was so bad I couldn't even finish the video to make that title. I don't know. It's a little exaggeration, but it's not even that false, because like, I just didn't fall in love with it. Like, you know, like I didn't want to finish building it. Very seldomly do I not finish building LEGO sets. This is sad. But let's take a look at some of these Mario 2021 sets. So it looks like we get kind of a Series 2 of the character packs, and as with Series 1, I suppose these are pretty nice looking characters. They're going to make nice additions to your Super Mario world, and for me personally, they don't do a lot. Like you may know, I don't have a huge connection to Super Mario. I loved Mario Kart N64 and Mario Kart for the Wii or whatever, but as far as like actual like Mario games, not something I ever really dabbled in, so I don't really have that connection. And while these look good, I'm sure if people like them, they like them. It's not really for me. As far as like the suits go, the penguin's kind of cute. The cat or whatever, Tanuki, I don't even know, bro, what's going on there. And then we have 4 other sets. I like Chain Chomp Jungle Encounter, because I think they had the chain chomping thing in one of the either Nintendo 64 or Mario Kart Wii, whichever one it was, but or maybe both. But that one looks pretty fun, and I think they were able to recreate that pretty faithfully. The Piranha Plant Puzzling Challenge, I don't know. I don't understand that one very much. Master Your Adventure seems like a pretty interesting concept, because it seems like a much more free set, basically like a Minecraft creator box, but in Super Mario form for making your layouts. I think that's kind of neat to have, I suppose. And then the Wiggler's Poison Swamp. I have no idea what this is. I don't quite understand it, but I suppose getting those 8x16 tiles in purple is something good for brick-built replicas. Lucas Miller says, do you know why the Colosseum is $550 and has over 9,000 pieces, or the most pieces ever in a LEGO set, while the UCS Star Destroyer has less pieces and costs a lot more? Well, price for pieces and everything, and this is another prime example. And I'm getting the Colosseum, so I suppose during my Colosseum video, I'll bring over the Star Destroyer and actually put them side by side, because I think that'll give you a great idea of why there's a discrepancy in price. But the Star Destroyer is physically bigger than the Colosseum, and the Colosseum just uses a lot more smaller pieces. Now, the way LEGO determines price is probably pretty complicated, but like, if a set uses bigger pieces, like the Star Destroyer could easily use way more pieces if they just use smaller pieces to create the big panels that they make, right? Like, that's pretty straightforward to me, I think. So, I mean, it's that type of thing where they're just using bigger pieces on the Star Destroyer to create a bigger model versus the Colosseum, which, while it has more pieces, those pieces are much smaller. So it's kind of a trade-off there, if that makes sense. Tissue Faucet says, if you get hired at LEGO and get the 50% off products, would they allow you to sell the sets you buy? It seems too good to be true. You'd make more money off selling the actual sets than you would working there. Being able to resell the sets after getting such good discount seems too good to be true. Of course, you can't resell them. So yeah, you're kind of onto it. No, I believe that you would get fired if you got caught reselling the LEGO sets. Now, it's not like a Apple product where I feel like most of the boxes are going to have like specific IDs where they're going to be like, ah, found you. Like, but if you're stupid about it, I guess you'd get caught pretty easily, and hey, then you're SOL, you're going to lose your job and your nice discount that you were taking advantage of. Basically, I guess the way to take real advantage of this is there is a limit, I believe a yearly limit on how much you can spend and get a discount, which I believe is somewhere around $2,000 of discount or total purchase. I'm not exactly sure which it is, but there is a limit. And so basically, if you wanted to take advantage of that, but be smart about it, not get fired while taking advantage of it, you would buy things and then stockpile them and then sell them later down the road when you're no longer working for LEGO. And if you're really looking at this from a smart financial perspective, you could make smart investments with this at really low prices and then cash out like 5 or 10 years later at really high prices if the value of the sets you bought went up. Like, there are sets that go up really high in value, and if you're buying them stupid cheap to begin with, like, even if you had bought them at retail price, you're making a ton of money, but say you're buying it 50% off, you are golden. So you could look at it as a nice way of making an investment too while you work at LEGO. Darth Vader says, what is a LEGO set or minifig you absolutely hate? Well, speaking of minifigs, at least, the First Order Stormtrooper General thing that they released for May the 4th in 2016 was absolutely terrible as far as making something that could have been something else. So I feel like for the fact that it took away what could have been a good May the 4th promo, I hate that one. So, in the words of Michael Scott,
why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Zane Armstrong says, do you think LEGO would ever make Bad Batch minifigures? Man, I hope so. I was actually going to make a whole separate video on this topic, but I figured it might actually make sense to kind of throw in here as a mini topic. And basically, it's that LEGO's getting screwed here, or LEGO's screwing themselves more rightfully here. I mean, they've known Bad Batch is coming for years and years and years, correct? And so you have these companies online selling these knockoff Bad Batch figures, and you've probably, I think I brought it up in my live stream the other day, that you've probably seen these ads on Facebook for these knockoff Bad Batch figures, which look pretty good in the renders, right? I mean, when you get them, they're going to be knockoff crappy LEGO figures, but they are what they are. People are buying them, and I've seen a ton of people saying, oh, I bought them, and these are all people that are now probably not going to buy. If LEGO does eventually make a Bad Batch shuttle, they're not going to buy it because they already have the figures they want. So why do they want the LEGO Bad Batch figures, which would probably be worse than these knockoff ones as far as like how they look, because the knockoff ones have all these crazy details that, oh, LEGO couldn't possibly be bothered to touch. So yeah, I think LEGO's really losing a lot of money there, in my opinion, like just from looking at what people are doing, buying these knockoffs when LEGO could already have a product on the market with Bad Batch figures. Like, it's not that hard. Like, the Bad Batch original render was released in like 2015. Like, they knew these episodes were coming. It's not like a, oh, we didn't know Baby Yoda existed type of situation, right? You know how I answer stuff like that. I mean, hopefully, I hope so, but I don't have a lot of faith in stuff like that right now. Music Issue says, what is your favorite moment from all of Star Wars media? All right, this is like a hot take, I think, because it's such a weird one. but it's actually, like, if you're literally boiling it down to a moment, I really like I have a couple of things, right? There is the scene in episode 9 where Palpatine goes like everything, and then there's this really epic Imperial March song or mix that plays while it shows like all of the Star Destroyers coming out of the ground of Exegol or whatever it is, and it's incredible.
What could you give me?
Everything. A new empire.
And then there's also this scene in Solo: A Star Wars Story. I think it's a scene right where Han Solo is signed up for the Imperial Navy or whatever, and then it cuts immediately to this great Imperial theme, and it's a bunch of explosions on Mimban and like the walker being dropped off by the AT hauler. I love those two specific like cuts straight to music and just epicness and like the war aspect of Star Wars. Like, really love those particular moments. So those are two that I love. There's a lot of other really top tier great moments from Star Wars, but those are the two that really come to mind as some of my favorites.
We'll have you flying in no time.
Sebastian says, do you think the Nebulon-B Frigate will come back in stock, or will LEGO make more? LEGO will not be making more, although there is the slim chance that a few could come back in stock because people return them, or the shipment got delayed and sent back, or stuff like that. Like, it could happen, but as far as like more, like actually more coming back in stock, that's not happening. Like, they're not making more, they're not getting another big shipment. It's done. You got screwed. John Russell says, what is the dumbest / most inaccurate play feature on a set? And I'm going to steal my answer from Ved in the replies to that. He says, nah, the poop feature from Hidden Side. Ben Kenobi says, have you ever gotten Lego just to open the box and there is no Lego? I got ripped off on the ARC 170 at Target. And the answer to this is no, but the real reason I picked your question is because I can only imagine, and I know it's probably not this way, but I can only imagine. You walk into Target, you pick up a Lego set, and it's literally just an empty box, right? You say you open the box and there's no Lego. It's literally just an empty box. You're like, wow, I got a new Lego set, let's go buy it. And you go through the whole checkout process, you don't even think a thing of it, that it's just air. Then you get home and you open it and you're like, what? No Lego? How is this even possible? I got bamboozled and duped. But yeah, no, I think you're more referring to when people would like take the stuff out, then seal the box back up with rocks or something inside to make it seem like it is, but it's not. So yeah, that has never happened to me. It's not super common, as you may imagine, but yeah, unfortunately that type of crap does happen. But I just, in my head, I was like imagining you literally picking up a box of air and like not even noticing. So that is it for Ask M&R 151. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you have a question for next week's episode, comment section is below. And while you're down there, hit that like button. Deuces.